There he is.
What's up?
How you doing, Coach?
You know, living a dream.
I like it. You got a nice polo on. You got it looking sharp today. You got the hairbrush.
Yeah, felt good to get a haircut. My sister's here. It's thank God it worked out. So yeah, I was able to cut my hair, and I'm used to going like every 7 to 10 days,
Yeah.
and so going 5 weeks.
Especially the way your hair is now. I can imagine what 5 weeks looks like. Like for me, 5 weeks, I mean, it doesn't look, I don't have that much hair.
Yeah, it was it was the same. It was the same look. It was just a lot more of it going and going.
I'm lucky, like, my hair is pretty simple. So I just finally, it took me a while, and I finally just asked my wife, I said, you know what, I'm going to order some clippers online.
Mm-hmm.
I just need you to cut it off. It's not hard. And she's like, I can do it. I was like, I'm sure you can. And so she just knocks it out real quick. Thank God I don't have a very complicated haircut. I was still nervous for some reason. I was still like, man,
Heck yeah.
There's still ways to mess this up. But
exactly. It's hard to mess it up, but you still don't want to take the risk factor, I guess.
She said, well, you're not going anywhere. What does it matter? I said, yeah, I guess that makes sense. But
yeah.
But I got Zoom meetings for work. I don't want to look all patchy.
That's right.
You talked to your boy Ray Carroll?
Yeah, we were just texting 2 nights ago. He's like dying to come down here and get to the beach. And I'm telling him, I'm like, dude, I wouldn't go near the beach. It's way too early for that.
Way too early, and I've seen our beaches have been pretty packed.
Yes, like insane. Like first day of spring break type of insanity stuff going on.
Why? I mean, that's crazy.
I don't know what everyone's goal is for.
I apologize. I'm eating right quick.
No worries, Coach Boz.
How are things in San Antonio?
Things are. We're just talking about the beaches over there. It's kind of the same. It's like the city never really shut down. It's always. I mean, everybody's out and about, and the stores are packed. And this was 2 weeks ago when I had to go to the store for groceries or whatever. And you drive by Home Depot and Walmart and H-E-B, and the parking lot is just full of people.
Right. I went to Barnes and Nobles yesterday, trying to find a book, and I was the only one in the store.
So everybody's at the beach.
Weird. Do what?
Because everybody over there was at the beach.
Yeah, probably so. I'm not social distancing at the beach.
Heck no.
Well, I appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to come on and talk.
Sure.
I don't know if you
appreciate you having us.
Yeah, no problem. Don't know if you've had a chance to catch any of them. I mean, really, I just think coaches are amazing people, and I love what we do. I think coaches have this ability to make connections with people in general, but especially young people, and impact lives, and goes much deeper than wins and losses. And so, really, I just want to get to know as many people as I can. Talk to them, get to know about them, and kind of get that info out to the world. I think it's important.
Yes, sir.
So if you're ready, we can get started, and I won't keep you from your families too long, unless you want.
Oh, trust me, we've been quarantined, man. Let's go for however long we need to. Isn't that right, Carly? Youngest daughter's in the kitchen eating ice cream again. Save me some.
I love it. Well, we got Coach Boswell and Brandon. How do you pronounce your last name?
Bourg.
Say that again.
Like an iceberg.
Bourg. Coach Brandon Bourg. Got it. I've been saying it wrong in my head this whole time. Well,
if you've been saying Bourg, it's all good because that's how most of my family has said it, and I think that's probably how it should be, just based on how it looks, and it's got a French background, I suppose. So don't know where it got messed up along the way, but someone started saying Bourg, and that's what we've been doing. So,
well, I'll roll with Bourg.
Cool.
All right.
Let's talk a little bit about this lockdown. Let's talk about how you're doing. Your go-to quarantine snack, right? You've been binge watching anything? What does your daily routine look like right now?
Whew. Go ahead, Brandon.
Well, and I've been fortunate to catch some of your other previous episodes of this Coaching Connections kind of video podcast. And number one, listening to them and seeing the other coaches interact. But one thing that stood out that many of them have said, and many others, across the country and across our state, we're all in the same boat. So it's not like there's someone out there gaining a significant competitive advantage, because as coaches, we're competitive people, and we try to talk to our guys frequently, our teams frequently, and see how they're doing and find ways to motivate them and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, every coach is doing that. We're all trying to find, hey, how to motivate my guys, even though I can't be with them face to face, even though I'm missing an off season and I'm missing, potentially some more workouts aren't going to be there or well echoed. As far as how I'm handling it, I definitely probably never thought I would ever miss work as much as I ever have. And I think I'm not the first or last person to say that either. But I think when you're, kind of locked inside your house for what are we on now, 6 weeks, 6 weeks or so, and growing, it does make you appreciate the things that you are fortunate to have, like a job and things of that nature. So, but as far as stuff that's kind of holding me over, watching some film, doing plenty of online clinics. Really looking forward to the upcoming TABC online clinic next week. Like I said, just trying to find ways to still communicate, trying to find ways to better yourself, whether it's reading a book, whether it's finding a project to do around the house, reorganize some of the garage a week ago. Just
Honeydews.
finding stuff to do. Honey-do list. That's right.
It just keeps growing and growing and growing. That list, it never ends.
Very true.
Yeah.
Like my wife is at school. Yeah. Basically what we've been doing is, just staying in contact with our coaches. We have them on Google Classrooms and they're engaging with their student athletes. And I'm actually helping with the PE curriculum, pre-K through 12. So we meet periodically with those PE coaches, and we have a weekly Zoom meeting with all the girls coaches and the PE department, and we just update them on what's going on, what the expectations are, and if they need anything from us. And we actually had to hire a boys basketball coach, which we've done, and we'll have to hire a few more positions coaching wise. But like you had mentioned, our district has been very, very progressive and proactive about trying to stay up with other districts as far as pay and benefits, and that's going to show this coming year. Our head coaches and assistants, as well as teachers and staff and admin, are getting a little bit of a pay raise again, which is good, because in our area, besides CCISD, Gregory Portland is just really setting the standard as far as teacher pay and all that stuff. So, our district's been very good about trying to, retain teachers and coaches and try to attract them because of the pay. We're in the midst of planning and building a indoor facility, which everybody in our district has really. Flower Bluff's indoor facility is state of the art.
Yeah,
that's what we're working on now. Softball dressing rooms for our softball team. Our softball, baseball facilities are really nice, and we're just enhancing those and, trying to make sure that we have everybody that we need. Next week we have our athletic gear drop off and pick up plan for the junior high and high school. So we'll be doing that all next week. And then, obviously having been with TABC, we planned the virtual clinic, and we're trying to get that online, and we have close to 80 speakers, I think. And there's something for everybody. And the reception has been very, very good, and hopefully more and more coaches will, get on board and register. And this is going to be not necessarily just a Texas thing, but a national thing. to showcase our association and our membership. You know, Brandon's been active with being a regional director and helping with TABC stuff, and you know, he's going to get more of a role in that as we move forward. And Monday night was my actual last TABC board meeting, so I'm going off in the sunset, but I'm still going to be an active member. And you know, if TABC needs any help or input, I'm going to be there. And you know, I just love being engaged with you know, athletic teams and coaches, and trying to support our profession and you know, public education and athletics. So that's basically what we're doing. And you know, it's been good so far. Obviously, we want to get back on campuses and want to make sure our kids have the opportunity to play. And hopefully, you know, as things continue and the pandemic dies down, we hope we're going to be able to do that, especially when the fall comes around. So
awesome. And you kind of read my mind. I have a little piece here written to talk about TABC, and we can get more in depth in that in just a couple minutes. But before we get there, let's talk a little bit about your coaching journeys. You know, where'd you start up until this point, and any influences that you've had along the way that's helped you this far?
You know, our district is getting a raise, and Brandon's dad's going to be happy about that because he's actually my financial. So, you know, whatever extra money I make, he's going to give me a call or an email. So, but that's funny. But, you know, my parents were in education. My father was a coach at one time, was a school superintendent. My grandparents the same way. My grandmother actually taught me in first grade. So I've always been around, you know, public education. I wanted to coach from a very early age. And then as I matured in coaching, you know, had some great mentors, Doug Gallion, for one, had some really great mentors. And, you know, as I matured, I wanted to get into athletic administration. I lucked out. Very fortunate to land with Alice ISD because of, you know, prior contacts. Our AD was with us at San Angelo Central, and you know, he called me and asked about my interest in the job, and I jumped on it. And knowing full well that Flower Bluff would land a heck of a basketball coach, and they did, and the program is in great hands. You know, it was tough leaving, but man, I'm telling you, the kids are awesome. Every level is, you know, we say pretty talented. I mean, the future is bright for Flower Bluff, and Brandon's going to do an exceptional job, and he has done a great job. And I just couldn't pass up on this chance to get into athletic administration, just because, like anything else, it's tough to get into. Just like getting a head basketball job at a, you know, a specific location or specific class size, you know. I've had some great mentors throughout my career. Brent Davis, who's the current football coach at San Angelo Central. Tom Allen, that retired at Senton. You know, there's a long list. So, you know, I just feel very fortunate and blessed to be in this profession and get to do what we do.
So talk a little bit about your transition from the gym to the athletic office. I mean, what is it that you maybe missed the most?
Well, you know, probably just the daily interaction, you know, because you get so, you know, I guess just encompassed with your team and the program that you see those kids every single day, and, you know, they're talking to you constantly, texting, emailing, what have you, and, you know, engaging with their parents, the overall program, going to tournaments, games, you know, just seeing the overall growth of kids is probably what I missed the most. But I'm telling you, this has been a breath of fresh air, so to speak.
Yeah.
Now, we're all teachers and coaches at heart, and we do that on a daily basis. But, you know, getting to do what I do now, you know, working with coaches, facilitating, supporting every sport is something I've really, really wanted to do. And it's exciting for me. I wake up energized and ready to go. I don't care about the long nights, because if you're coaching, you're going to have long nights anyway.
Yep.
You know, this just so happens to be, I may be at a soccer game or a, you know, a tennis match or a volleyball game, whatever, and I just enjoy it. It's all part of it. I love being around people, and, you know, it's been a great aspect of the job.
Yeah, you get to do what you're passionate about.
Correct.
And when you do that,
I don't want
it's easy.
Yeah. You know, I don't want to be an assistant principal. You know, athletic administration is where I want to be, and, you know, hopefully I can grow in this profession and just keep going. So.
Well, best of luck to you in that direction.
Principal at home.
Yeah. And she's in school right now helping kids clean out lockers. So, no thanks.
What about
So-
Brandon? How's your journey been?
Yeah, it's really similar to Coach Boswell's in that both of my parents were educators. Both were coaches. My dad was a head boys basketball coach for close to 15 years, and before he was a boys coach, he was actually a head girls coach for nearly 10, starting at Toloso Midway High School back in the 70s, and then stayed there until the late 80s, and then he became the head boys basketball coach at Flower Bluff, ironically where I ended up and where Coach Boswell was before me. And then he became the head boys basketball coach at King High School here in Corpus Christi, and that's where I ended up graduating from and going to school. So obviously my dad had a huge influence on me because he not only was a coach, but he was also my coach, and that's a unique, kind of relationship to have to go through. There were definitely some tough days, and sometimes
that's why you got to play all the time, right?
Yeah. And there were some challenges that come with it. There would be days, especially when I was younger, freshman, sophomore year in particular, and then junior year, maybe early part of my junior year when I started to play quite a bit on varsity. He would almost tell me sometimes before practice, like, hey, I'm gonna be a little, might be rough on you today, just to make sure the other guys understand that if I can get on my own son, and hold him to the highest level of accountability possible, that the other guys will see that, and then it would make it easier for them to have to buy in. Those days thankfully weren't frequent, but once in a while they came up. But it made me a better player for sure. And as a kid who grew up with two parents that were teachers and coaches, and seeing it firsthand, I've got a family list of educators. Three of my aunts were classroom teachers. One eventually became a counselor. One still teaches like calculus and calculus 2 and coaches girls golf up in the Dallas area. So I come from a family full of educators. Two of my three sisters are teachers. So, it's a family thing for me. And I tried my best, I'm telling you. And by my best, I mean one semester's worth of college. I tried my best to not get into it. I really did. First semester at college out of high school, I'm thinking, no way am I going to do that. I'm going to do business or something with computers. And after one semester, I took some classes, and I was like, you know what? That's not my world. That's not where I'm good at. And I had worked a lot of basketball camps with my dad. As I got older and kind of phasing out my part of going to camps, and started becoming a teacher at these camps when I was 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 years old. And it kind of became a passion there. I can definitely see where that also made it. And got at Ray High School in Corpus Christi with CCISD, where I was, and being a product of CCISD, I think made it maybe even a little more special to me, graduating from the same school district, and was able to work with some great people, and going from, like Coach Boswell said, the classroom, the day-to-day interaction with your students and your kids, and working with and things like that. That's what I think drives most educators and coaches is to, not only because we're competitive and we want to win and we want to build teams to be successful, but we want to help the young people that become our next generation be the best that they possibly can. And so that was something that was instilled in me by my parents, something I saw firsthand growing up, something I saw day to day for really every year that I've been in education. You see it through different people sometimes. So it's not always a coach or an AD that makes that impact on you. Sometimes it's another classroom teacher. Your next door neighbor in that classroom is someone that goes, man, you know what? I really like how they handle this situation, or they do this, or they gave me a great idea for a lesson plan. How can I translate that for me onto maybe a coaching aspect? I learned so much from the athletic coordinators that I was able to work for, starting with Coach Semper when he was at Ray. He's now at Veterans Memorial High School. I learned a lot from him, and I still, hold him in high regard. Coach Craig Charlton, who took over after Coach Semper left Ray. Coach Charlton helped me quite a bit. on my journey and gave me a lot of freedom, gave me the opportunity to become my first head coaching opportunity. So, I owe him a lot for that. The principals that I've been able to work for, starting with Dr. Perez, who's now assistant superintendent at West Oso ISD, to Mrs. Cuevas, Roxanne Cuevas, who's now the principal at Ray. These are people that made an impact on me and still make an impact on me. Now I'm fortunate to work at a great school district like Flower Bluff. It's large shoes to fill with Coach Boswell leaving, but doing my part to give it my best. And he mentioned we have some great teams and great programs all across Flower Bluff. But that starts with great leadership too. Coach Steinbrook's done a great job, been there for a long time. Someone that I've gotten to know the last 9 months or so since I've started working there. And, I just think that, like I said earlier, as educators, we can take things from everybody that come across our path. Sometimes the student will inspire us to do something better. Sometimes it's a principal, an AD, another coach, an assistant coach. It's kind of a fraternity, if you will, and we all know that as coaches, we have our own coaching fraternities, and they impact us as much as we try to impact the next generation of people.
Right. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, Coach Steinbrook and Coach McMahon. They do a phenomenal job at Flower Bluff, and I was fortunate to be there. And those two guys are great leaders, and you can just look at the excellence that Flower Bluff has shown in all sports. Just to show how good their leadership is. And, those guys do a great job. And my kids go to school in Flower Bluff and they love it. My wife is an administrator there. So it's a great district. And, we've got some great coaches in the Coastal Bend that we interact with and are friends with, colleagues with. And that's one of the best things about the coaching profession is the relationships that you make with those coaches. And we can give each other a hard time and, talk to each other about certain things. But at the end of the day, we're all friends and we're all for the same reason. We want kids to be successful and, be future stars in society. So that's a big deal.
Absolutely. That's awesome. And Brandon, I had this written down, so you kind of touched on it a little bit, but so talk about your transition from Ray to Flower Bluff and having some legendary shoes to fill, some of the feelings behind that.
That'd be Robert Dodd.
Yeah. So, the Flower Bluff opportunity, it came up pretty late, to be honest with you. And, we had finished the school year at Ray this past year. We had a very successful year in 2018, 2019, and had some really good pieces returning with the what I felt like was a great coaching staff. Talking about the assistant coaches I was able to work with there, and had some great things going. And I always told myself that as far as the Corpus area goes, that there really weren't many other jobs that I would ever consider leaving Ray for. Flower Bluff happened to be one of them. Obviously, it has to be the right circumstances and things like that for not just myself, but for my family, and having a family connection, if you will. Having my dad having coached there from the late 80s into the early 90s, that made it, I think, a little unique. That wasn't a determining factor. I think, in hindsight, maybe it was more of a kind of a thing that's in the back of your mind that you don't really think about at the time, but it turned out to be something that was a unique and special situation. And the hardest part, and we've all changed jobs and had to change and make sacrifices that throughout our life, but the hardest thing was obviously to leave the people that you built relationships with. For me at Ray, I built so many. I was there for 10 years as an assistant coach for 5, a head coach for 4. I actually worked there for 1 year. My very first year when I was hired, I didn't coach because I got hired in January, and so it was tough to leave. The player relationships, the parents, the other teachers you work with, the administrators, the athletic administration, etc. But it was a unique situation for me to be able to go to Flower Bluff and to change the classroom responsibilities that I had, to be able to work at a single school ISD. I think that was in a way a unique situation too, because the kids that are at your junior high, they're going to be at your high school, 99 out of 100. And so I think that kind of drew some of the interest to me. Obviously, being from Corpus Christi and having that family connection, I know Flower Bluff has been successful for a long time. We try to tell our basketball players, like, if you walk into the gym and you look up and you see all these banners and whatnot that are on the wall, you go, look, there was success here long before I ever got here, and there's going to be success long after I've left. And I think that we try to tell our kids the same thing. Like, look, you're going to have to work to get better. And if you want your opportunity to be a part of a team that has a banner up there, like, you've got to work at it. It's not just going to be handed to you. But that transition was, like I said, it was tough. It was challenging. It was not an easy decision. But at the end of the day, I had to do what I felt was best for me and my family for not just the short term, but the long term. Because I think if it was just a short term only thing, I don't think I would have left, to be completely honest with you, because we knew we had a great team coming back. And obviously Coach Dodd did a great job this past year with that group, and they ended up winning another district championship and making it to the third round, just like we did the year before. So that part was tough, but at the end of the day, we're humans, and we have to do what's best for us and our family. And so that's what it was. Even my family, my parents weren't, even they were kind of not egging me on, but really wanted to know, like, are you sure you want to leave? We really like going to, Ray, and we like this and that. I said, look, this is what I think's best for me at this time. And look, maroon's just a different shade of red. That's all.
It didn't take Brandon's dad very long to change colors. I'm telling you that right now.
Well, he probably had some shirts still from 1991, 92, 93.
I'm hoping you updated a couple of the shirts, Brandon.
If I find it, I'll mail it to you. You can have it.
All right, let's talk a little bit about TABC. I think it's an amazing organization and what it does in growing the game of basketball in our state. Let's talk about some of the roles that you guys have served in the organization, and then we'll talk about the clinic coming up after that.
Okay.
Mine will be pretty short, so I'll knock mine out quick. Boz has a way longer history with TABC. I've known about TABC for, as long as I can remember, simply because my dad was a member of TABC, and he always went to the TABC clinic, and he always felt like it was one of the best clinics he's ever gone to over the course of obviously many years. And so when I first became an assistant, I think my very first year I went to TABC, and then I didn't go again for at least 2 more years. And I think I went my second to last year, and last year as an assistant coach, and then I've been every year since I've been a head coach. The organization obviously is much more, and this is something that I've learned over the last few years. It's much more than just a basketball organization that hosts a clinic every May. There's so much more that goes into it in terms of promoting high school basketball in the state of Texas, in terms of not even just basketball, just promoting athletics. Obviously, we focus with an emphasis on basketball, but the coaching connections you can make through TABC, the relationships you can develop through TABC, the ways to promote the great kids and athletes all across our state through TABC, whether it's through all region selection, all state selection, academic, all state, those types of things. And that's what a great organization like TABC does. I've been fortunate to, I was a district representative 4 years ago. Pete Solis was who's now, Laredo Nixon head coach. He was the regional coordinator for 5A at the time. And I was a district rep with him. And then the following year, I became the assistant regional coordinator with him as the regional coordinator. And then for the last 2 years, and again next year we'll make 3 years, I'll be the regional coordinator for 5A Region 4. And so that's been my involvement. Like I said, I've known about it for a long time, and I'm very passionate about it. Just like Coach Boswell is, and he's done a heck of a job as past president, and and all the roles that he's helped with TABC. One thing that I have yet to do that I definitely want to, it's wouldn't quite say it's a bucket list item, but it's up there, is to work the camp. and actually this summer I told myself, like, all right, I'm working that camp because I hear so many great things about the TABC camp, and hopefully, next summer when it comes back around, hopefully we'll, be able to do that.
I know a few people, man. Maybe we can get you hired on at TABC camp.
Yeah.
But my path, just like Brandon's, I was, I became a head coach, been a TABC member for a long time. Then when I was the head coach at Senton, 2002 to 2010, I became a district rep, and then helped with the all region stuff. And then when I went to San Angelo Central, Coach Deere, who was at Friendship at the time, asked me to be a regional coordinator, and I did that. And in 6A, 5A, 6A at that time, our region went from El Paso all the way to Dallas-Fort Worth, including, Amarillo and every place in between. So, I mean, we had a vast region, but it was fun. Got a great experience, and then of course I got on the board. Was fortunate enough to be a board member for 3 years, and then for whatever reason they asked me to run for second vice president, and was fortunate to get elected. Then 2018, 2019, I was the president, and then this past year, the immediate past president. But just like Brandon said, it's not just the clinic in May. We have the best camps of any association anywhere in the nation. I've been associated with those camps for 24 years, and this year was going to be number 25, but obviously because of the pandemic didn't get to do that. But that's a very, very big passion of mine, is helping with those camps. And a highlight of my experience is officiating the little campers game when they lower the goals. And me and two other coaches, Kenny Mann and Dean Edwards, we'd officiate the games when you got little dudes running up and down the floor trying to dunk on a 7-foot goal. That's the highlight of my camp experience. But
I thought it'd be the wigs that you guys wore. I thought that would be the highlight.
Yeah, that too. I actually had a cane with the officials' gear, and all that stuff, and sunglasses. But TABC has been awesome. I had some, just like anybody else, great mentors that came before me that are still involved, and some that are retired that really progressed the association. And that's what our charge has been, is just to progress the association in the right direction. We still have a lot of stuff to do, obviously, but the virtual clinic is one. We lost the revenue stream from the clinic and the camp, so we had to come up with some ideas and solutions. And the virtual clinic committee did a great job of planning, and and May 11th it's going to take off, and hopefully the coaches enjoy it. It costs a little bit, but it's just like if you're going to the regular on-site clinic, instead of watching 13 speakers, you get to see 80.
Yeah.
And so the price of admission is just phenomenal. And obviously every percentage of the proceeds goes back to the association. So, being the past president, I don't actually have to join TABC. My membership is free, but I choose to join. I pay for the membership. I'm going to donate a little bit because that's an option now. And, I'm very invested in it. And like I said, even though I'm not on the board anymore, I'm not just going to go to the yearly clinic, past president's luncheon, and just sit down and eat and leave. I'm going to be an active past member or past president, and, help in any way I can, because, this is a great time in our association, a great time in the profession to move basketball and other sports to where they need to be and continue that growth. We whether we want the shot clock or the, charge circle, or, want to play like college does and go to halves, whatever the case may be. I'm not, speaking for anybody, but just progressing the game should be, one of our priorities. Making sure that we have a great venue for the state basketball tournament, strengthening the relationships with the UIL, the other associations that are so important. I'm working with the THSCA to help them get speakers, and I feel very honored to do that. They invite us to the clinic every year. I spoke last year, spoke in 2013, and I think every single basketball coach, whether you're junior high or high school, should be a member of TABC. And if you're a boys basketball coach, you should be a member of THSCA. And if you're a girls basketball coach, you should be a member of TGCA, because you want to represent not only yourself and your staff, but you want to represent your kids and give them every opportunity to be recognized. Academic all-state, all-region, all-state, scholarships, you name it. And every association has something to offer. And I think it's our duty as coaches to make sure we're members of those, whether we pay for it out of pocket, the school pays for it, what have you. Like right now, I'm a member of the Texas Athletic Directors Association, TGCA, THSCA, TABC, the National Athletic Directors Association, because I think we've got to be members to showcase our programs, our schools, and our kids. And we're hoping that more and more people see that. I think the THSCA has done a great job of it being more inclusive, incorporating more sports and more coaches. And even though we're just specifically a basketball organization, I think we can strengthen our relationship with THSCA so we can both progress, and all of these associations can progress in the right direction. So that's what I'm excited about for the future. I'm not saying I'm going to work another TABC camp. I'm just going to drop in and help officiate on that little campers games. My age, I'm not like Brandon. I'm not going to run up and down the floor, and be in a station for 12 minutes, 10 rotations. I've worked those camps, and you know what I'm talking about, Brandon.
Oh yeah.
Clinic, camps, everything in between. TABC does such a great job, and I think TABC is really going to innovate and progress as we move forward. So exciting times.
Well, we appreciate all that you've done for TABC and basketball in the state of Texas, and helping grow the game. And I appreciate Brandon for bringing me on in different ways into TABC.
Yeah, Coach Alvarado was the assistant coordinator last year.
Sweet.
So
that's why all those San Antonio kids got chosen, right?
Yeah,
I got you.
That's right.
Hey, we gotta fight for our kids, right? We gotta
Yes.
opportunities. But I appreciate it. Definitely, it was a good experience to be a part of. So definitely looking forward to continuing that any way I can. And obviously signing up for the clinic and getting my assistants to do the same, and spreading the word to our middle school coaches, and I'm sending text messages to all our coaches in our new district and our old district, just trying to do what I can to spread the word. Hopefully it helps some. Although I don't know if our name carries as much weight as Boswell does, Brandon.
It does not. It does not.
No, they don't answer the phone when I call because they think I'm asking for a meal or something. So, double-edged sword.
Same reason I don't answer when you call.
Let's talk a little bit about the best basketball game you've ever been a part of.
Ooh. Just as a coach, player, fan.
Either way. Either way.
I think I can cover all three. As a player, my junior year of high school, we were playing our school rival. It was at our gym, packed. I think we were either tied, and this is back, only 3 teams made the playoffs then. And this was, I want to say maybe not early in the district season, maybe halfway through district play. And we end up, like I said, great atmosphere at our home gym. We're playing our school rivals, and we go to overtime. And I remember last possession of the game, I can't remember if it was after a timeout situation or what have you, but I just remember having an okay look at a shot and ended up passing it to a teammate who was at the top of the key, who was wide open, and he hits a 3 at the buzzer, and we win in overtime, and place goes nuts, and we end up getting the final playoff spot that year. And our school rivals, I think, got 4th, and I don't remember how much what the separation was, but it was definitely a thrilling game there. And we ended up making a decent playoff run, and we made it to the 3rd round of the playoffs. And the team that we lost to ended up going to the state championship game, so it wasn't anything crazy. And then as a fan at the state tournament, and this was when T.J. Ford and Daniel Ewing and Ivan McFarland and all those guys were at Fort Ben Willeridge, and and they're in, I think they had won state the year before. And I think it was, all these guys are back. They were all juniors and they win state and they come back. And in the state semifinal game, which if you look at the UIL program that they have every year at state, it's still one of, if it's not the highest attended game, it's one of them. It was Fort Bend Willow Ridge versus, I believe, Converse Judson. And Coach Wacker, who's now at Texas Lutheran University, he had two guards who couldn't have been bigger than 5'6", 5'7", maybe. And this other team's got 4 Division I players, a guy that's going to be in the NBA, 2 guys actually that were in the NBA for a little bit, and they end up going to double overtime. And those 2 little guards for Judson, man, they were the sight, And I think as you have a crowd, and we still see it at the state tournament, today. Anytime there's a matchup of 2 teams and one team is, significantly maybe more talented or more recognized and well known, the crowd starts cheering for the underdog. Yeah. And so I remember just as a fan starting to cheer for Judson, hard. Like, I have no rooting interest, but that was probably just the single best game I can remember. Willow Ridge ends up winning in double overtime and ends up winning the state tournament and going back to back there. The other one that comes real quick was I think it was 2002, the state finals when John Jay hit the half court, pump buzzer beater. Should have won an ESPY. Derek Jeter should not have won the ESPY that year. I'm just saying. And as a coach, there's a lot because you have so many memories of games and whatnot. I'm trying to think of any that stand out just off the top of my head. We had a good tournament game, and we actually ended up losing this game. But 2018, 2019, we're playing in the Corpus Christi Coaches Association tournament, and we're in the championship pool. We did nothing but pool play. So we reseed after 2 games. We had your original pool of 3 teams, and we took all the winners of those teams and put them into different pools. And then we took all the winners of those pools and put them into other pools. So it was a unique tournament setup. We had a weird number. It was like 27 teams or something. Something weird. Like the number just was tough to make work in like a normal bracket play. So anyway, so we're playing Aldine Davis, and this was my last year at Ray, and we're playing Aldine Davis, and this is again one of those. If you walk into the gym and you see 2 teams warming up, you're going, that team's winning by 30, and this team has no business being here. And we were the team that didn't have any business being there by the eye test. And and we knew it was going to be a tough game. But look, I knew we had a good team, and we wanted the challenge. We needed that challenge. And it turns out we shot maybe the best shooting half of basketball in the first half. I think we had 55 points or so at halftime. 2 of our guys had like 4 or 5 threes each. I mean, we were not missing. It was an incredible first half performance. And we're up, I don't know, I'm going to say we're up double digits at halftime against, again, this is a big 6A Houston school, athletic as can be. And they were kind of, in their own way, maybe shell-shocked a little bit. But then second half, we had a bad, first 2-3 minutes of the second half. And they make a run, and now it's a possession game for the rest of the regulation. And we have two starters foul out. Wasn't happy about one of them. Kid gets a tech after he fouled out, which he didn't deserve. He was mad at himself as he's walking off the floor. Ref took it personally, gives him a tee as he's walking off. And this is, 3 minutes to go in regulation. And I'm going, how are we going to make this call, And yeah. But it is what it is. And so we ended up going to overtime. We had a really good player named Ryan Nurnberg who basically carried us in overtime. He was a district MVP as a sophomore. He ended up winning district MVP that year as a junior. And then this past season, he was the district offensive player of the year. His teammate, the kid that fouled out and got a tech, actually, he got district MVP this past year for Ray. So just a crazy game, and we ended up going to double overtime, and we ended up losing like 105 to 101 or something like that. Wow. In double OT, and just the fight and grit that our kids showed at that specific game. I kind of knew right then and there that we had something special, and obviously that kind of propelled us moving forward and led us to district championship. So that's just the one that sticks out, off the top of my head.
That sounds like an exhausting game. I'm tired just listening, thinking about trying to play the game like that.
I'm not lying to you. As soon as the final buzzer went off, I wasn't even upset that we lost at that point. I kid you not, I broke out into like a cold sweat, and like I was legitimately, I was having trouble catching my breath, and I was fine the whole game. Not fine, I'm sure I'm a nervous wreck, but I'm not showing it. And then as soon as that buzzer hit, it just came out, like cold sweat, everything. It just right then, it was all let go.
Talking about that John Jay game, 2002, that's the year I graduated high school. Chris Ross hits the shot, and I feel like our team at the 4A level at the time, we had a pretty good team, made a regional tournament appearance as a senior, and but even us, like we saw Chris Ross hit that shot, and I didn't know him at the time. I know him now, and I probably never tell him this, but I'd go to school the next day, and all of us are just practicing making a move, jumping back forward, and double pumping, trying to make a shot. And my coach walks in, and he's just like, what are y'all doing? But it was one of the most incredible shots I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. I still remember he ran into his own teammate.
Yep.
Right? Like he grabs the rebound, or he gets the outlet, dribbles, and his own teammate's trying to run out of the way, and he cuts right across, and he bumps into him, and he has to stop to pick up the ball off the ground, and then just heaves it from there. And
on his birthday. It was his birthday.
On his birthday, that's right. And it was his only field goal. I think in the semifinal game, he made like 2 free throws. And then in that championship game, that was the only shot he made. That was the only – so he had 1 field goal the entire 2 games at the state tournament, and it's on his birthday to win state against a really good Dallas Kimball team, no less. Had AC Law, who ended up obviously playing at A&M and going to the NBA. That was nuts. I was sitting like my dad had great seats that specific year at the state tournament, and that was I think it was my sophomore year. So that was my sophomore year of high school, and we're watching, and we're sitting like 5th row, maybe like right at midcourt behind the announcers table. So we had a great view of it, and it's crazy how it ended.
Yeah, he ended up having a really good career. He's still playing out in the Philippines.
Is he? Okay.
So Coach Boswell, what about you?
Well, you said you graduated in 2002. I graduated from high school in 1986.
Nice.
Back when there was no 3-pointers. And my senior year was a great experience. We were state ranked in 2A. We were a small 2A, and we swept a very elite team in the Coleman Blue Cats to win a district title. We went 14-0, and that was the best part of my high school career. We should have advanced farther, but we didn't. We got beat in the second round. But we'll talk about that stuff at another time. That's still a thorn in my side. But as a fan, I've seen a lot of great basketball games, and live and on TV. But I was head coach at Mathis, and went and watched Sinton play Lavernia in the 3rd round to go to the regional tournament at Kennedy. And this was in '99. And it's the best high school game I think I've ever seen. It was in that small Kennedy gym. Jim Blackburn was head coach at Lavernia, been there forever. Ed Glendenning was the head coach at Sinton, and they were pressing and running, and the atmosphere was electric. It was wall-to-wall people, and Sinton ended up winning in double overtime. But it was an incredible game. It was just back and forth. Both coaches were getting into it. I think Ed was down to just a shirt, no tie, no coat. You couldn't tell what the score was if you're looking at Coach Blackburn, because he was so even-keeled and calm, But I just remember that game like it was yesterday. That was just something that, we had a bunch of our Mathis kids there. They were watching the game, and the very next, in 2000, we made the regional tournament, and we actually beat Sinton in the area round to get to the next round. We beat Lavernia in the regional quarterfinal round to get to the regional tournament that very next year. So that was a great experience. And as a coach, I was a head coach since 1996. So there's been some really, really good games, some bad losses, tough losses, some games that we should have won that were great that we didn't. But my second year at San Angelo Central, we inherited a program that we're trying to rebuild, and it was a gradual process. And we beat Odessa Permian at their place in the first round, so they're coming to our place, and the game is for the outright district title. If they beat us, we're going to be co-champs. If we beat them, we're going to be outright district champs by ourselves. And Central hadn't won an outright district title since 1963. This was in 2012. And the Central gym is probably comparable to Moody, Carroll maybe, a little bit bigger, but that place was just wall to wall people. You could not find a seat. There were people sitting in the aisles, in the rows, down the stairs, and we're up 1 or 2 possessions. Permian had just scored, and they're pressing us, so we call a timeout. We got to go the length of the floor, and we know that they're going to press us, and they're going to try to double. If they don't get the steal, they're going to try to foul us. So we run our set press break, and we get lucky and throw the long ball and to one of our kids that ended up playing at Southwestern University in Georgetown, and he ends it with a dunk.
Oh.
And we end up winning the game, and the place just goes nuts, goes crazy. And that was a fun game to watch, be a part of. And, that's just one of many, but that was a great experience. And I still think about that game to this day. I don't think I've seen a gym that packed, with just crazy student body and cheerleaders and fans and, parents, you name it. It was just awesome. So.
And to win with a dunk at the end, that's incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Exclamation.
So.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, I think us and Harlandale were playing the last game of the season.
I was in the stands watching.
Were y'all both in the stands or just you?
I was there. It was at McCullum, wasn't it?
It was at McCullum.
Yeah, we were there.
I thought I saw some of you guys scouting up there.
And it didn't do us any good because we got – Harlandale was pretty good, man. I thought y'all were going to beat them. And we just got –
almost carried us all the way through. He had like 40-something points.
I'm telling you.
Not quite.
And, we made the playoffs and Harlandale walked our log, but, that made us better. We got better the very next year.
Right.
But, there's some great basketball in San Antonio.
For sure.
There really is.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk. We're talking the best games. If you could name the best individual talent that you've ever seen in person, whether it be high school or pro or college, the best players you've ever seen play live, who would it be?
Well, I haven't coached an elite player like that that's gone on to the pro level, but we played against Euless Trinity, their big kid that's playing for the Pacers.
Miles.
And he was a sophomore when we played them, and he was about 6'10", 6'11", and you could tell that dude was fixing to be the real deal. And he wasn't completely, matured into his body. He was good, but he wasn't going to be as good as he is now, obviously. And we got fortunate that we beat him because we pressed and we ran, and that poor guy he ran from foul line to foul line. Actually, we didn't let him sit up in a half-court offense and just pummel us. But he may be one of the better high school basketball players I've seen live and in person that we coached against. I never got to see Brandon Berg play in high school. He may be right up there. I don't know.
You like to watch guys shoot threes and make some decent passes, then that was my job. And take some charges. Yeah. That's my
right.
goal. I too, I've never come close to coaching any professional guys, obviously, but just thinking about the guys that I've been fortunate to see at the state tournament and remember, my dad told me I was at the state tournament when Shaq was there, but I don't remember that.
Yeah.
But best high school players that I have seen in person, I think TJ Ford, his athletic ability. I know I mentioned their team earlier. His athleticism was something to be seen. And he was on a team of guys that had Division I, NBA level athleticism, and he stood out.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing that kind of makes you go, holy crap, this guy's another level. And I think best pure, just not necessarily just from an athletic standpoint, but just best. One of the smoothest basketball players I thought I've ever seen was Darren Williams when he was at the Colony High School. And actually, it's funny because his teammate, Bracy Wright, his teammate was getting a lot more of the attention initially. Bracy Wright ends up going to, I think, Indiana, and Darren Williams went to Illinois. But I just watching and you're going, man, that guy's controlling the game. A 6'3" point guard who's got some strength to him, and he's controlling the game and hitting big shots. And I don't know if he ended up with a crazy high scoring number, but just the way he controlled the game, I thought was impressive. And then the one, and I actually just had this discussion last Thursday with our varsity and our basketball program in one of our Google meetings. We were talking about toughness and how you can will people around you to be successful because of someone's mental toughness. And I thought, in terms of players, I thought Marcus Smart, I was fortunate to see him play the 2 years that they went to the state tournament. And again, there were other really good players around him too, but he willed his team to win. The guy, you don't see a 6'3.5", 6'4" point guard, combo guard, whatever you want to call him, in the middle of the back of a 2-3 zone when you have a 6'7", 6'8" guy out on the wing and another, bigger size guy on the wing, and he's in the back of the zone hitting the floor. He's the talker. Like he embodied toughness. And so I thought that was, as a young coach at the time, seeing that going, that guy's the only word that came to mind was toughness and a winner. And obviously, he's made a heck of a career for himself so far. I enjoy watching him play. I know, my kids can't stand, he flops and he this. No, he wins and he makes winning plays is what he does. And then in terms of me playing against somebody, the best player I feel like I played against, and it was in some summer tournaments and stuff, was a guy at Houston Milby. His name was Jawan McClellan. He ended up going to University of Arizona. Played, I believe, all 4 years at Arizona with Coach Lute Olson, and we played against him in some summer tournaments growing up. His high school head coach, Coach Honey, has some family connections down here in Corpus, and so he would always try to get his players to, and they played like it was an AAU team, but it was mostly Milby guys, and they would come down to a tournament in Corpus during the summer, and they would play. And we played against at least 2 or 3 summers in a row, and they were really good. As a matter of fact, they won the state tournament his senior year, and I think it was the year after Coach Honey had retired from Milby, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And so Jawan McClellan was maybe one of the best players I personally played against that I off the top of my head.
How many times he dunked on you?
He did not. However, he had a teammate that it was, again, they beat us pretty badly. And there was a point in the game, and again, this is a summer tournament, so we had a turnover, and I'm the one guy back, and it's like 3-on-1, and I'm going, all right, there's only a couple ways this ends, and none of them are good. So a point guard's dribbling from, I think it was the left wing. And I'm thinking he's going to pass it to the guy that's running on the right wing. Well, there was a third guy coming a little behind them right down the middle. He was about 6'3", 6'4", but, man, could he jump. And he kind of throws a soft, nice little dish right over his shoulder to the guy coming down the middle. And I'm like flat-footed, middle of the key, and this guy catches it and without hesitation jumps off 2 feet and just punches it on me. I remember getting mad at my teammates, like, why isn't anybody else getting back? And then I look at the scoreboard, I'm going, guys, we're down 35, 40 points. and it didn't matter who was back. It was going to be ugly.
And that reminds me of my first year at Flower Bluff. We go to the GP tournament, and we're playing Vandergrift the kid that just signed with Texas.
Yeah, Greg Brown.
Yeah, and we're playing out of our minds, Coach, and it's 19-19 after the first quarter. And Coach Ellis is mad. Their kids are mad. And then the Greg Brown show took over. He had about 9 dunks, and they ended up beating us by about 30.
Yeah.
He, even though we were getting our butts kicked, he was fun to watch because you could tell he was special. And he was only a sophomore at the time, I believe. And he's going to be a one and done. He's going to go to the show after 1 year at Texas, and he's just a phenomenal talent.
The talent is there.
It's rare to see a guy that long and super athletic like that in person. Yeah. It's fun to watch. I think the best player I ever coached against. I was an assistant at the time when I was at San Antonio Marshall High School, and we would go up to the Magnolia tournament up near Houston, and we got to play a freshman version of De'Aaron Fox. But even as a freshman,
talk about athletic, man.
Yeah, you just knew. We saw them play. We knew we were going to play the winner of that game. And I'm looking at the program, and I'm like, this guy's only a freshman, and he's just destroying everybody in front of him. And then we end up losing in like double or triple overtime to that team. With chances to win at the end of each regulation and first overtime, second overtime, and just couldn't convert. But that to watch him play, even as a freshman, you just knew, like those guys like Greg Brown, you just know what they're destined for, and you know that there's another level to this game of basketball. They're on it, and we're not.
Yeah.
So last thing I want to ask you guys before we call it a day is just some impactful moments when you realize as a coach, that this is much deeper than wins and losses and more about the kids and the experiences.
Go ahead, Coach.
Well, I think that happens, or it happened almost every year that I coached. I got tons of stories, but a point guard I had at San Angelo Central, he's about 5'6", 5'7", Kevon Coney. You look at him, walk into the gym, you're thinking, that kid's not going to be a 6A varsity player. And the kid was talented, man. He helped us win 31 games as a junior. Went on to Howard Junior College to play a little bit. And I just got a phone call about him for a reference for a job. And, just trying to help him in his life after basketball has been a blessing. And, watching him, mature and, try to keep going. He's got a family now, stuff like that. And then my first year at Flower Bluff, got a varsity player that's back, Chris Martinez, and everybody in the district, every coach on the staff, every teacher told us that, the kid's never going to pass. The kid just wants to be on varsity. He doesn't care about his grades. He doesn't care about his future. He's just one of those kids that just wants to be around. He's not going to work very hard to do anything. And we challenged the kid, and for whatever reason it clicked, and he passed all his classes. He was a viable member of our varsity for 2 years, led us to the playoffs his senior year. And the kid hugged me and cried, just bawled his last game of his senior year. And we keep in touch, and, he's doing well. He's in school. So hopefully, we want those kids to succeed. And, it's more than wins. And I think as you mature as a coach, some of us mature quicker than others. It's not about the wins. It's not about the trophies. It's not about the medals. It's about getting these kids to a better place, about showing these kids they can become significant people in society. Whether they want to go to college, whatever avenue they want to go into, they can become legitimate people. And I think that's the best, thing to see. And there's stories from, every year, but those are just a few. And, like right now in Alice, we have a young lady that signed to play softball at Shriner. We've got some football players who are trying to go play at the next level. Just seeing those kids, get excited about it and just, overcome a little adversity and then try to move on once they graduate. That's the biggest deal, being an educator. So hopefully we'll have more success stories as we keep going.
Absolutely.
I think and you mentioned it just now about it's not about the wins and losses. I mean, yes, we're competitive and we want to succeed, and we want our kids to know what it takes to win. I think maybe more than anything, because we think that long after, when ball is done. It stops for everybody at different times. But the preparation you put in to try to win, the effort and sacrifices you make to be on a successful team, those are things that you can apply to real life, and I think that's the big part. A personal story was, my first year as a head coach. I'm young, 29 years old, and at a 5A school, and I'm thinking, I know what I'm doing. I'm ready for this. And you talk about like getting punched in the mouth right off the bat. Like, I think we were like 0-8, 0-9. Took a really, in my opinion, a bad loss. At the end of a tournament, we played the 8 a.m. of a Saturday. Both teams are 0-3 or 0-4 on that, whatever it is, and we lose at the buzzer, and we still haven't won a game, and I'm thinking, why? I took it personally. I looked at it as why are the kids not doing what I follow? Why was this kid late to get to the bus this morning? Why the winning has kind of taken care of itself, and it's the preparation. And now I understand why that kid was late to the bus that morning, because his mom was working, 2 different jobs and literally couldn't take him. And so he didn't have a ride. He didn't have his cell phone. His cell phone was turned off. And so once you start to understand that there's bigger things than wins and losses, and you start to care and you develop those relationships with your student athletes and students in your classroom, that you can have a huge impact on somebody. And I think, like Coach Boswell said, those are the things that you remember. One thing that I said a couple years ago at our basketball banquet, and I still say it, to this day, is, the world doesn't need better basketball players. The world needs better husbands, fathers, sons, daughters, aunts, uncles, whatever it is, whatever role that you end up playing in life to somebody, student, employer, employee, citizen, whatever it is, the world needs better versions of those people, more so than we need good basketball players. Trust me, there's plenty of good basketball players out there. It's not like the world is going to have a hard time finding good basketball players. It's we need more of the other types, though. Yeah. And to me, that's always it's always great when you hear from guys that you've coached in the past, and they reach out or they tag you in something on Twitter that brings back a memory. I just had a player that he was a senior when we won the district championship in 2018, 2019. He was our 6th man, and in all honesty, I thought he was the difference. And one of the reasons why we were successful was because we had a 6th man that could take care of the game, and he was 5'6" on a good day. So this kid wasn't super, just God-given athletic ability or anything, but man, did he work his butt off and overcome different challenges of his own. And he sent me a text like 20 minutes before we started this chat, and it was just a picture of him when he was a sophomore and some classmates that they were in my class, my history class. And he said, "Coach, I got videos and photos all across from this class, and I still remember it." And just little stuff like that brings a smile to your face, and you go, "You know what? I made a good memory and a positive impact for somebody." And as I've gotten older, I still I put in as many birthdays on my phone calendar as I can remember of former players, and try to tweet them and text them happy birthday and little things like that. But that's the stuff that at the end of the day, I think as coaches and educators, that really is why we do the things that we do.
Very true.
Absolutely. Well, Brandon and Coach Boz, I sincerely appreciate you guys taking time out to talk and getting to know you a little bit and just talking basketball. I'm sure we can do this for days and days and days.
Oh, yeah.
But I appreciate it very much.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, sir. We sure do appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Hopefully, Brandon, you and I can one day have a legendary career title such as the Boz, right?
Have a legendary game.
Hey, what was
I tell you what, y'all play in Alice.
We'll play a neutral site game in Alice.
You come to Alice, we'll host, and we'll make sure it is packed. Okay?
There you go.
All right.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right.
Yes,
Take
sir.
care, Mark.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Yeah, have a
All
good
right. Thanks for Bourg.
As always.